The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The More Show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Solara An-Ra. Now she is the author of the book, Pleiadian Emissary to Gaia. Now she is a spiritual teacher of meditation, channeling and multidimensional healing. Now she is known worldwide for the beautiful channel messages and guided meditations on her website and YouTube channel, free for all to download. Now Solara gives the will with this because she is in service to her human tribe and is providing tools for raising our consciousness as easily and joyful as possible. Now Solara lives on the sacred island of Ibiza in Spain and runs her own community and retreat center. Now in 2017 she is offering blueprint activation, opening to channel and multi-dimensional healing skill workshops. And Solara An-Ra, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. It really, really is. Just before we get started in this interview, we've got a lot to talk about. I always say that on the interviews, there's so much to talk about, but there is with yourself, there really is. You know, I love getting the channelers on, I really do, because I feel that there's a message in there that really wants to come out. I feel that there's people waiting to hear your message. And, you know, it's funny, I'm doing the documentary in association with the original director called Tuning In, the sequel to Tuning In, called Tuning In Now. Tuning In was a documentary, that one of the only documentaries I think out there on channeling. And it's funny, when we connected, you actually said to me that you was featured just very slightly in the original Tuning In movie, and that movie had a great effect on you as well.
Yeah, I only discovered because people sent the movie to me and said, do you realize there's a little clip of you? And it's from, I believe that I was channeling a message at my 11-11-11 ceremony in Sedona out. We'd made a huge medicine wheel, and there's a little clip there. So somehow, without my knowing, I got into that movie. And also, in the intro, there are several channels featured in the movie, as you know, and it shows all of the channels just as they're making their connection with their guides to begin to channel, just these little clips. And it was Daryl Anchor in particular. I saw him clicking in, and it was exactly the same as my guides physically click in with me, with the kind of jerking, and the first sentence comes out a bit loud. And it was an incredible relief for me to actually see that out there, because at the time I'd never seen people channeling on YouTube, anywhere else. As it happens, Daryl Anchor was putting videos up at that point, but I hadn't seen them. And it helps to know that you're not the only one that is out there doing. Put yourself out there physically channeling, you do attract attention and obviously sometimes criticism. So I felt a bit exposed, but I'd been very much guided at that point to put messages out there. And in the beginning, I put messages on YouTube, channeled messages, and I made a storyline to go with them. But after some time, students of mine really need to put some out there where they can see you channeling, because I tend to do what my guides call moving or dancing mudras, where they show different things with my hands, and it has an effect on the people that are witnessing it. So after a while, I just thought, oh well, you know, I'm out there already. Let me just not hide what I'm doing at all regardless of how it is received. And generally, it's been very well received, and it's very rewarding what I do.
I think, well, we really do have a lot to cover here, because we've got to get into your backstory as well, which I want to talk about. But what you're just talking about here is so important as well. The braveness it takes to come out there and do this on YouTube, or whatever platform you're using. It takes a lot of balls. I've got to use that word. It does, right? Because this is I sort of maybe said this before in other interviews, the fringe of spirituality in a sense, but you just know that you've got to do it. And when I see others doing it, I just think, oh my God, they're so brave. They're so brave for what they're doing.
Yeah, my motivation was channeling, learning to channel was the most amazing thing that ever happened in my life and obviously on my spiritual journey. And when I started channeling, it was only for myself. I never had the slightest desire to be known as a channel or to channel for anybody else in a group or one-on-one. I only wanted to learn how to channel so that I could get the answers to my own personal questions rather than having to go to a channel for a reading. Because my first visits to a kind of a channel, a medium as such, where their focus is slightly different, was really a very big step in my spiritual awakening, going to a channel. It was, at the time, I knew nothing. I knew nothing. I'd never heard of past lives or auras, chakras, manifesting, affirmations. I knew absolutely nothing. And this was when I was about 28.
Right.
So quite late. And a friend of mine bought me a reading with a medium. She wouldn't tell me what it was I was going to. I suppose she thought I might be scared off. But I was in a very troubled state at the time. And I was supposed to be moving permanently from South Africa to England. And I really didn't know whether I was making the right decision. I was crying all the time. I was very confused. And she quite rightly guessed that going to the medium would sort out the questions. And not only did it do that, it was just like opening a whole new reality to me. It was amazing. She spoke about my past lives, about my energy. She spoke about what was to come.
Wow.
And when she spoke about what was to come, I saw the actual pictures. She said, she didn't know anything about me, and she said, you're going across the sea now, and it's a big journey, and you're worried about it. But you'll arrive, and I see champagne glasses. All of your dreams that you have at the moment will come true. And she spoke about my wedding, which was to come. And she said, but I see your ring, and I see two rings, not one ring. They both are ruby or garnet. But that had me really confused. I thought, am I going to get married twice? What's the two-ring thing? And what happened when I got engaged, I was a reflexologist at the time, and I took my ring off in the park giving someone a reflexology, and I lost my ring, and so I had two engagement rings. I had to get a second one. So she was right about even the smallest details. It was amazing.
That's incredible.
And she said, yes, she said that the ring that actually was on my hand in the end, in the ceremony, belonged to a lady in spirit, and she could see what was happening, and she was so excited that her ring was being used for a sacred use again. And that's what happened. We didn't have enough money to buy another engagement ring, so we went to a market and got a second-hand antique little ring with garnets that wasn't terribly expensive. But then I knew that that ring had belonged to this woman who was giving a blessing to our union. It was great.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And would you say that the way that you channel, the information that you bring through is very different to the gift that the psychic had when she gave you that reading? What I'm saying is we all have different gifts, don't we? We all come here with different abilities. Otherwise it'd be a bit of a boring world, wouldn't it, if we all had the same ability? So when you do what you do, it's not the same as what that lady did for you in a sense, is it?
Not at all. I became a bit of an expert because I moved from South Africa to England, and because I just had this experience with a medium, I asked around. I didn't even know what to call it, as in a reading. And I said, where can I get that kind of thing? And people sent me to the College of Psychic Studies.
Oh yes, great place.
Kensington. And I started going for readings there with lots of different types of, they call them sensitives in a rather old-fashioned way. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit old-fashioned, the College of Psychic Studies. So I would go to a channel and a trance channel and a medium and someone who called themselves a psychic. And I soon realized the difference. And I recognized that what I favored was the words coming directly through the person. Mostly at that time at the Psychic College, they called that a trance medium. And a trance medium, in theory, is not aware of what's happening, and they consider themselves to be just a vessel. And a lot of people consider trance channels to be the highest form of channeling, as in the one with the least interference from the personality mind. And when I eventually started channeling, I could hear that my voice changed straight away. The first guide that I got was showed himself as a Native American Indian, and his name was Wanase, and he spoke in this beautiful, earthy, poetic kind of language. He made metaphors about everything that you can imagine in nature to describe or help your situation. And so I asked, am I trance channeling? And I then got a group of guides who didn't name themselves, who I now know were star beings. And they taught me how to improve my channeling. And they said that it was very, very important that I didn't desire to be a trance channel, and that I didn't ever go into that. And they called me a direct voice channel, which is now what I call myself. And now it's a term that's been seeded, so other people will use that term. But when I heard it from my guides the first time that I'd heard it, and it's very similar to a trance channel because the energy of the guide is with you and will use my hands and that kind of thing. And the voice will often change, so they're using the voice box directly, but I am completely there. And my guide said that I would know at a later date why they were teaching me to channel that way. And it's, of course, because I now channel as part of teaching and with groups. And if I wasn't aware what the guides were teaching about, it wouldn't work in that kind of context. I go in between my self-teaching and my guides' teaching.
The More Show connects personal development, metaphysics and consciousness tools for transformation, empowerment and awakening. Please support this independent show so Kevin can continue to bring you the most inspiring and alternative interviews and videos. Go to www.themoreshow.com/donate. You can also support The More Show through Patreon by going to www.patreon.com/themoreshow. Or you can make a quick and easy donation from PayPal using paypal@themoreshow.com.
In 2008, a feature-length spiritual documentary called Tuning In was released. It was then the first time 6 of America's prominent channelers came together on film so viewers could gain insight into the channeling phenomenon. Now, Kevin Moore and his team are going to produce the sequel, Tuning In Now, to help waken people to become their greatest version. We are currently looking to raise $50,000 to make the best channeling documentary possible. And if you feel drawn to contribute, just go to www.tuninginnow.com.
Do you still feel that when you come out of that space, because I've seen your videos and we'll get into that as well, when you come out of that space that you're a little bit, just a little bit spaced out a little bit when you come out, or because I've seen your videos,
a little bit,
yeah, a little bit
high,
a little bit
I
high,
tend to
yeah,
feel a little bit high, which one could also say was ungrounded, but I'm not really ungrounded. It's more like in a very, very good mood, because the energy that comes through is so loving and big that it raises your frequency. And the easiest way to understand frequency raise is that it makes you happier.
Oh yes. Okay, because we're going to talk about your backstory. We're going to have to get into that as well. But I just wanted to just go with the flow on this interview. Really go with the flow. And just to point out as well, you're actually you're in Spain. Is that where you're based right now?
Yes, I live in Ibiza now. I've been here for 4 years.
Right.
I don't necessarily assume that I'm going to live here forever, but I was brought here in a very specific way, which also has to do with my guides. And it's definitely the place for me to be right now. It's a place of acceleration, a vortex, much like Glastonbury is.
Yeah.
And it means that it attracts a lot of people that need acceleration, but also a lot of people that are very ungrounded. And it attracts a lot of drama, if you like. So my teaching here is very valuable, and also the people that are attracted to come here to my center, they get they don't have to live here, they just come here and they get an acceleration. The nature of the island is very crystalline and it's an accelerator, so you can jump further ahead on your path in a shorter time here.
You're exactly where you need to be, aren't you? You're exactly where you need to be. And I was going to sort of mention where you live, but just to get back to the voice really, because on your videos, when I first watched your videos, I was like, oh my God, she's got such a lovely voice. That voice is, the voice is so empowering. I mean, that's one of your gifts as well, I think. When you do the channeling, I think the voice is important for you, and for yourself, it just comes across beautifully. And that voice though, that voice is from Africa though, isn't it? You were born, was it South Africa you were born?
Yes, the slight accent there is South African. I am an English-speaking South African, which means that it's not very strong. If I was an Afrikaans-speaking South African, then I would talk like that with a very strong accent. You know, that's like a very strong South African accent, and I've just got the minor version of that. Right.
Okay. You were talking about some great. So I think for you, it's a bit of it's the whole package, isn't it? Sometimes we come in with various different gifts. I said that at the beginning of this interview, and I think your voice. I recognise that with my voice as well a little bit. Why was I born in England? You know, there was a number of reasons why. But you only see these things as you get a bit older sometimes, and you try to look at it from a different perspective. So yes, so you were saying just before there that you're a sort of a conscious channel. By watching your videos, you're able to just switch in and switch out. I thought that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool what you do there. I think that adds to the right type of people who resonate with you, because with all these teachings, we were saying this of air as well, that we are drawn. People are drawn to us who resonate at the same frequency as us, who need the teachings that are going to come through someone like yourself, where you may listen to other channelers and you may be like, I just don't get it, because the information they're giving is for a different level.
Yeah, it's channeling is one of those things that you get out of it what you need, and you're attracted to channels that are bringing through an energy that is consistent with what you need at that time. And so it's not the person, it's not me, Solara, but it's the vibration, it's on an energy level, the energy and the information that you need at the time you will be attracted to.
Yeah.
And when I first put up YouTubes and got the occasional derogatory comment, I thought, no, I can't cope with that. I'm too sensitive. So I disabled comments. Then I got so much flack for disabling comments that, people said this is an open forum. This is the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm really going to have to learn just
Good
don't pay any attention. And I also noticed in the beginning that people that loved my work, if somebody put a negative comment up, they would all start defending. They would like, no, you're really getting the point. This woman really is working for the light. No. And now I notice that doesn't happen, because I think everybody's realized that if you don't give any attention to people that want to fight, it just dissipates. They've got nowhere to go if nobody fights them. They can put up a couple of comments, nobody says anything, and then they disappear.
I think in this field, because you will be sensitive, because most people are that do this work. Those derogative comments, you've just got to, I keep all my derogative comments alive and active. I don't delete them. I'm always getting, more you're going to hell, more you're suffering from schizophrenia. You're on a mental breakdown. I'm like, well, at least this is a good day. There's a few less of these comments right now. This is a good day. I'm cool with them all. I just send them a lot of love. There's a lot of love. But and I look at it as a test. It's just a test, just to build you up, just to make you stronger. But I think if you're going to come out in this field, just be aware that that's what's going to happen. And also, some people are so bogged down with their own truth, they are not able to allow other people to have theirs.
Yeah, there's no question. Yeah. I'm, my guides for 2017, one of the big messages that they keep giving is that because of the energies that have been hitting the planet that we've been absorbing, if we're open to them, because we've been through a period of integration that's actually making it easier for us to up our frequency, we are moving into a time where the discernment comes from the heart. So it's like the energy from the brain is being diverted into the heart. The heart has its own intelligence. And so they constantly say, before I'm about to channel to everybody that's listening, listen from the heart. Try and listen from the heart, because your heart has a higher intelligence. And they're saying about 2017 that it will be easier and easier to discern what is of the light, what is not of the light, what is for you, what's not for you, what brings expansion and what brings contraction. So that if you just start reading or listening to a message that's being channeled, you will immediately switch off. Like, no, I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because it's not accurate or it's not a good channel, but simply because it's not for you right then. It could be that actually you just wouldn't understand it, so you don't need to waste your time reading it or listening to it.
And sometimes when you probably give group meditations, I think you've said this to me off air as well, that some people are tuned in for some parts of it, and for the other parts it seems like they're asleep. And the way you look at that is that, they're just unable to take in that high level of information because they're just not ready for it yet. There's no wrong or rights.
Yeah, well, it's not even really unable. It's just it's not necessary. It's not necessary. They will get what they want. It's always really interesting to channel a message, and then if you're in a group, to say, did anything really resonate with you? Did something help you there? And it's almost as if you were channeling a completely different thing to each person there, because they go, yeah, it was that thing, and other people are like, well, I didn't even hear that.
Well, let me just ask you as well, when you channel, because I really want to we're going to have to move this forward a little bit here. There's some good things to talk about. When you channel, is it almost like there's a voice that you repeat and then it comes into sync and it's almost like it's coming through then? Or is it just, how does it work for you?
Well, different people have different extrasensory perception. So extrasensory means what you hear that is not a normal sound, you're hearing it internally, what you see that is invisible, what you know that hasn't been given to you in the form of knowledge. And so when you close your eyes and you channel and you ask for the highest guidance to come, different people get it in totally different ways. Visually, they actually hear it. And for me, I would say it's like an idea package arriving. So sometimes I get the whole idea and it comes through in words at the same time. Sometimes if it's an energy or a group that I'm not familiar with and it's not so easy for me to channel, I will literally get the word by word.
Wow.
So I don't know what the end of the sentence is. I'm just getting the words.
That's interesting.
And I would say it's in between seeing the words like a sentence or as a word and hearing it. But it's so quick, the connection between that receiving of it and then it coming out of my mouth, that it's difficult to say how that actually happens if you're doing a direct voice.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That will help a lot of people who are just getting into this to come forward, because we can all channel, don't we? We can all receive in different ways, right? We've all got here for different reasons, different gifts. But I think we all have the ability to tune in, don't we?
Absolutely. I did question my guides because I've been teaching opening to channel courses. Used to be 2 days and now they're 3 days for many years. And I could see by the end of the course who could obviously channel and who was struggling and people that were just beginning. And I said to my guides, is it really fair to say to people anybody can channel? Because I'm noticing that some people don't get very far on the course. And they said, let's put it this way. Everybody has guides, everybody has a higher self, and everybody is able to connect with them. And how they do that is individual, and it doesn't necessarily come out this way. So if I had to just take a guess of all the people that have been on opening to channel courses with me, if I have to estimate, I would say, let's say how many people became direct voice channels. I would say about 5%. So a small percentage of people get into the direct voice that's coming straight through their voice box. But some very, very instantly and amazingly have made that connection. An ex-assistant of mine, her name is Tatanka Newe, and she lives in Canada now. She hardly consciously knew any spiritual stuff when I met her at all. And she went through my meditation classes and straight on to the opening to channel within a month of meeting me. And on the channeling course, she started channeling. She just started channeling immediately and became a channel, a one-on-one channel that does it for other people immediately after the course. So,
but that was her time to meet you, to wake up. That was one of the points in her life that she had that option to do that, and you were meant to be there to do that. She
was already very spiritually advanced.
Right.
It just wasn't... she just didn't know it. She hadn't had an opening that allowed her to access that. And what I was going to say is that of the people that have done my course, what I realized after quite some time is that a much higher percentage of them could channel right instead of channel speak.
That's so true.
And so now I really divide it evenly because it's much easier and less threatening, because you're not so on the spot in the limelight, to actually get it out in words on paper rather than having to speak it.
Right. Let me just, oh my God, right. I mean, I do a lot of these interviews, right? And I've got a lot of people coming on who are doing channeled writing, a lot of people. And you're right, because it's, even me, right, when I'm thinking of doing my law of attraction videos, which I know I've got to start doing, right, they're channeled. I practiced one the other day, and it's like, oh God, I'm shutting my eyes, I'm going to be on, I've got to do this in front of a bigger audience and everything. But, sometimes I'm like, no, this is your challenge. You came here to get past this stage, right? And this is what you set yourself to do. Just do it. And it is very loving once you've done it, but I can understand what you're saying, that why some people just use the creative writing type, because it's less scary in a way. There's less, it's less fear. But I tell you what, when you break past the fear, the false evidence appearing real, it's a beautiful what lies on the other side.
It's amazing to not have any aspiration to connect with your guides and your higher self is slightly crazy, is slightly unintelligent, because we don't know everything, and because of the nature of Earth life and the fact that we go through this forgetting phase after we are born and come into the physical world, forgetting who we really are, the depth of our gifts, what we came here to do and everything. And then we have to go through this process of remembering. Channeling is way ahead of any other way to connect you into your true self and your true purpose. And that's the reason I kind of got this spiritual addiction for going for readings at the beginning of my path. I would go because it was the only place I found real, bigger picture, higher guidance, total inspiration and encouragement, because no matter what stage of your life you're at, and no matter how messed up you think you are, the guides are always telling you how wonderful you are. They're thanking you for coming to the earth plane at this time. They're telling you how much you're going to help other people, and not just in this kind of placebo way. They see your whole energy, your true self, and also they see your past and your present and your future and your lifetimes, and many of those simultaneous lifetimes, so they can inform your present reality with all of that richness and knowledge. It's so helpful that it's slightly crazy not to pay attention.
It's so beautiful the way you put it, though, as well. And I'm off air, I did say to you as well, that sometimes I think, even if, I say this to myself, this doesn't have to be anyone else's truth, even if what I'm bringing through, you're bringing through, and others are bringing through is not quite the way it is, or even if it didn't exist at all, it brings so much love into the present moment and that of others. It makes other people so much more empowered than it being ignored. That it's very worth exploring that side of you. But like you say as well, sometimes, and I'll add this as well, people to have a wake up experience, they need a 2x4 wrapped over their head. That comes through like a near death experience, or it can be an out of body experience, or it can be something in their life, something tragic or something huge happening. We all get shaken up in different ways to get in alignment with stripping the ego away and sort of maybe meeting the ego halfway, because we are here to have a human experience, right? So we can't ignore that. Some of us do on the spiritual path, right? So maybe it's kind of like, I am a soul having a human experience. I'm going to enjoy the human side of it, but I'm also not going to forget that spiritual side, because the teachings that I can bring in from that area can make my present moment more happy, more loving, more joyful.
Absolutely. And when you say some people needed to be run over by a truck in order to wake up, actually, in our new age Western world, let's say, all the big teachers, I can't say all, but most of the most effective teachers that have changed millions, thousands of people's lives have come to their spiritual awakening through having cancer and healing it, nearly dying, being raped as a child, being abused, the healing path that they had from that, quite severe circumstances, and how they almost miraculously overcome it leads them to the place from which they then teach other people. It is their awakening. There's this whole theory about lessons on Earth and how you learn through lessons. But my guides say that we're transcending that now, because we can be so aware of that process of difficult lessons that you learn and then you grow from them. And we can choose to pay attention to the signs before those lessons or circumstances become truly challenging. We can pay attention and fine-tune when things are even a bit wrong, like we're in a bad mood.
Yes, yeah, and I think you make a good point there, actually. God, you touched on so many points there, actually, and I still haven't got to your backstory. Oh my God, but everything's great. This is how this interview's going, and I'm really happy to have you on. Okay, so there's, yeah, you're right, actually. If I look at the documentary we're doing, we've got a young lady on there called Courtney, and she had she woke up at a very young age, right? So there is a younger generation of people waking up, and she was the one that obviously connected us together, and I'll link her channel just below this in the description as well. And I'm grateful that she did. So what I'm saying is, kind of agreeing with you there, that there is a younger generation coming into this reality and not needing to go through some of the processes that maybe others have gone through.
Oh, the new kids are a totally different story. When I was pregnant with my second child, I have a boy and a girl, and the second one's a girl. And when I was pregnant with her, I wasn't channeling yet, and I went to a trance channel who channeled somebody called the Master, and he said, the child you are carrying is a child of light. And in fact, that channel had channeled a book called The Children of Light, and this was before they were called indigos. And I researched a lot about these children of light. I was told that my daughter's brother, the firstborn, was not a child of light in the same kind of way, but had contracted to be with his sister because in their later life he would support her a lot, which he does now. And then we started hearing about indigos, and more recently we started hearing about crystal kids. I channel quite a lot about these children at the time. There are crystal kids that are being born that have never had a physical lifetime before. They've never had a lifetime on Earth or another physical reality. And so it's very challenging for them to be in their physical bodies. And I got this interesting message the other day that, well, the indigos as well, the indigo and crystal children, they struggle a lot when they're young. But they only struggle if they put in a position where they're being told what to do and it goes against their inner knowing, as in any normal kind of school experience and any normal kind of societal environment, and the rules that go along with it are not very easily tolerable. So you either choose to give those children more independence and almost treat them like they're adults from a much younger age, or you're going to have a lot of problems with them. But the interesting thing that I was told about the crystal children and the ones that are being born that haven't had bodies before is that they love swimming, and particularly in the ocean and on the island. We were being guided to take our friends' children, take any children we know as much as possible into the ocean, because in the ocean, not only are they energetically cleansed from any energies that they pick up, but also they have this sense of freedom, of being without the confines of their physicality. They get, it's like stretching their skin so that they can experience their energy bodies, which is very interesting. But yes, you're right that at a later stage, once they overcome the difficulty of physicality, they wake up very early. And you're talking about Courtney, she's now only 20 years old, isn't she?
21, something like that? Yeah, 21, I think.
Yeah, and she started channeling at what age?
Oh my God, I don't know. It was younger than 21, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that's very young to become a channel. And I notice, like my daughter, she's 23.
Right.
But the children of light like her are fully awake in their 20s. My generation, it was like late 30s, early 40s that most people started really being awake, and now it's very young. And the people that are attracted to my teachings and my guides' teachings there's a huge difference from teenagers to empowered wisdom keepers in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing, and that's what we wanted to show on this documentary, the sequel, that no matter what age you are, it can come through. No matter what, what gender, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past, right? It doesn't judge like that. It will come through no matter what, if you're ready to be open to it, and with your unique innate abilities that would be different to anyone else. Of course, we mentioned that as well. I almost want to say to you, damn, do you know what? I feel like you should be, the director's going to kill me here. I'm dead. But I feel like, right, that there should be some inclusion of you in the documentary. So I'm going to consider that, how we could do that, because there's just even if it was just something towards the end or something, in as the way you was included in the original one, but more on purpose this time, right, and in alignment.
Well, my guides have shown me on the movie. My guides have shown me channeling on the movie, so I know it's going to happen.
Okay, so you hear that, David? It's not just me as well. So yeah, so I'll cross those bridges later on. It's okay. It's all good. Yeah. Okay. Well, I got that feeling before I was going to interview you. I'll be honest with you. I did. I've realised that some of the abilities that I have, I'm able to see future things sometimes, and I'm like, I thought it was some mental disorder at some point, but I've realised I'm only joking. I've realised actually it's a gift. It was a gift, and so I did see that, and no matter how that's going to happen, I think I like your energy, and I like what you have to say, and I did like please people, check out your videos that you do as well on your channel, because that's one way of keeping up to date.
Kevin, it's called Future Visions.
Future Visions. There you go.
Yeah. It's like the future version of a déjà vu.
Right.
When you get a déjà vu and you know that happened before. But some people, an old boyfriend of mine had these future visions. And if you have future visions and you have the connection with your higher self and guides so that you can ask about the future visions, then you have something that's really going to help you. Because without that, as you say, sometimes having future visions can just feel disturbing and you don't really know how to use it. But if you can get the guidance of how to use it, then it's an amazing gift.
It used to be very disturbing because I'd be sat there or I'd be doing something. I'd go into a sort of, I know I've not really talked about this before, but I'd go into some sort of like trance, or not trance, but some sort of, I don't know, whatever it was, right? I can't really explain it. And then I'd be living out the scenario that was going to happen. And it was kind of weird. And so, but now I had to realize that on my own accord. I mean, speaking to you, it makes me feel so much better. But I mean, I realized in the end, oh my God, this is a gift. This is a gift. But the thing is, it never shows me anything that I'm not supposed to see. It won't, and it won't show me everything. It doesn't work like that.
No, you can't just ask to look into the future.
No.
Randomly. If you get given something, then you have to choose to use that gift in an intelligent way that feels comfortable to you.
Yes.
A lot of people write to me who hear things and pick up things all the time. If they're sitting on the bus or the tube, they can pick up things about the people around them. And I say that that is really not an intelligent use of being psychically open. It's not a criticism. It's just that we have to be able to control our energy, body, and psychic abilities. For me, I feel blessed that the way I came to channeling means that it's a very conscious, controlled thing for me, and I don't just pick up things unless I'm channeling.
Right, yes.
It's like when I'm channeling, I go through some steps and then I channel. I don't just pick up information all the time.
No. That's
exhausting.
Oh my God, can you imagine that if that was the case? That would, yes, it would be very exhausting, and you wouldn't be able to live this, because no matter what's going on, we're still here to have a human existence, aren't we? We're still here to be grounded enough to have this experience, aren't we? That's what the word I was after, experience. Sorry, because that's a big part of why we came here for as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Let me ask you, right? There's a few things. Teachers. Let's just get into teachers, right? There's a lot of teachers that have done a lot of great things in this world. A lot of gurus that have done a lot of great things, but just spiritual teachers in the Western world, in America and other places, right? I don't know if I like that word as much as I used to. I don't know if I like the word guru as much as I used to. And I know other people have spoken to you about this as well, but if you look at my past interviews, I've been saying the same thing as well. We look up to these people with complete issues that they've got, and we only see the best in them because whenever they come on the camera, it's the best part of them. Behind camera, they are terrible people, yeah? No, they really are the worst, right? And,
I haven't met so many of them.
Oh God, it sounds terrible what I'm saying, don't it? But it's kind of true, actually. I'm not going to lie. And so what I'm saying to is, yes, they've done their part. Yes, they brought some beautiful teachings to this planet. But isn't it the time now where we're supposed to take self-responsibility and become our own answers by going within?
I have a take on the whole teachers thing. Well, let's first say about gurus. I must have had a past life where something bad happened with the guru, because I would say I almost had guru phobia. I just didn't want to hear anything about gurus.
Yeah.
And the joke is that Babaji, one of the ultimate gurus, the immortal master Babaji, because there are different ones called Babaji, just means great father. But he was with me from the minute I started channeling, which is why I realized years and years later, because I was always questioning, why are the star beings and the star councils of light teaching so much about breath and pranayama? It's not normal. It's not what other Pleiadian channels, for instance, teach much about. And it's because this real master of pranayama, which is breath techniques, breath control, he was always with me. He was kind of overlighting me, which just means he's there in the background. And when he can influence, he will bring his influence through.
Yes.
So that was a joke on me, because I then had to go through several stages to connect consciously with Babaji. And now, if and when I channel him, which is not very often, it's an absolute gift for me because he's amazing. But my guides simultaneously have said for many years the age of the guru is dead. And they don't mean it as disrespect to the genuine gurus who are and always have been of amazing assistance, but it's just that exact thing that you've just said about giving away your power to somebody else. And I, as a teacher and a channel, I have never pretended to be enlightened, pretended to be advanced. As a channel, I'm bringing through information which is more advanced than me and most of the people listening. That is more enlightened, because the beings that are coming through from the higher dimensions. They've already been through the third dimensional phase of duality, and they've superseded it, and therefore they can help us to raise our vibration and go through the same steps. But I am a very human being. I tell all my secrets in my book.
Yes,
I
you do.
show all my weaknesses, and I always have. And people that come on my courses say that they like that about me. Well, I don't have any other way of being, because that is just what comes naturally.
Well, that's being transparent, isn't it? Is that not the new form of being a teacher? Is that the transparency, the word that we can transform in from teacher to transparency, where it's now that, but being transparent, that's what people resonate to.
Totally. And I always teach, if at all possible, I always sit in circle. I always use the way of the ancient tribes, where you sit in circle and pass the talking stick. And when I have the talking stick, or in this case, I use a talking heart, I don't speak as a teacher. Even if I'm teaching, holding the retreat or whatever, I will speak from my heart about myself. I will be like a student on my own retreat.
Wow.
But as far as other teachers go, I'm not going to mention any names.
No.
But yes, you'll get a teacher that years and years ago in the 80s that helped thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, who then, like in a very normal human way, will go and do something that spiritual people find inappropriate. And I have seen that kind of thing with different teachers, different channels, is either amazing channelings or amazing books or amazing whatever they might be coming through and really affecting the world in a very positive way, like seeding, really seeding some wisdom teachings. And then those particular individuals, what they do after that, whether it's another book or whatever they do in their personal life, might not be that enlightened. And my attitude is just take the gift that was given, that was of a high vibration.
Yes.
From that person. Take those teachings, take that book, that film, whatever it is, and don't diss it because what came after it wasn't as good. Just value it for what it is, because all of these people are people, and not so many of them are enlightened.
Yeah.
Not so many of them are, and if I use the term enlightened, I mean permanently in a state of awakened bliss, and therefore never triggered by the ego, never triggered by what my guides call the personality self, which is certainly not me and most of the teachers that I know. So I think that it is, I still think that it is appropriate to teach, to put teachings out there that assist other people when you yourself are not permanently enlightened. It's just a way of using gifts. I don't think it's necessarily hypocritical. That's what I'm saying.
No, I think you're so right. I'm so glad that you're so right. To me, you are. Yeah, you cannot judge, can you? You cannot judge, because that's exactly what I'm doing, even saying that, aren't I? I guess what it is, I always try to treat people nice. You know, I am no angel, right? I've, not one bit, right? And I trip up all the time, right? But the one thing I try to do is to at least be the person that I'd want others to be to me. But yeah, I mean, I think if I wanted to be enlightened like that, I wouldn't be here to have a human experience. It takes away all that. I'll wait for that, whatever awaits for me on the, when I cross over and go back home to where I came from, for that experience. But I'm enjoying the human aspect of being here right now. But thank you for that.
Well, my take on that is, like you said at the beginning of that, I try and be a nice guy, and what you're saying is you're consciously choosing loving kindness when you can, as much as you can. And that is actually our job. Our job is to move more and more into a state where we are practicing loving kindness, we're acting with an open heart, we're letting go of judgment. And these are just the very, very, very basics and all of our spiritual endeavors should be to move towards that on a personal level, because if we can't do it on a human level, then what good, we can be an amazing channel. Right. We can be learning really advanced stuff.
This is my point.
But if on a day-to-day level, our interactions with others are not underlaid with loving kindness, and we're not moving towards being less triggered on an ego level, the ego that wants to be right, the ego that wants to be more powerful than someone else, whatever those normal ego traps are. That's our job.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Look, we're going to go over time just a bit here right now. We've gone over time anyway, but it's important we do. Let's go straight into, listen, we've been putting your book up on the screen as well, Pleiadian Emissary to Gaia. Now, we had this chat off air, but I'm just going to mention this, when people read this book is much more than it says on the title, in a sense. There's so much to this book, and it's very much approachable to so many people. So, but I kind of want to talk about that, but I know we've got so much to talk about. Let's kind of, if you want to have something to say with that, let's keep it brief, but then let's move into your childhood as well, because I want to just know about the experience that you had that changed everything for you in one sense. You almost feel like you had a walk-in, that's what I'm kind of saying.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. I thought you did, sorry.
Well, yes, I did. I do say somewhere akin to a walk-in experience.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I do say that. What happened when I was 4, I was completely unaware of until somewhere in
Hi guys, my name's Kevin Moore and I'm the host of The Moore Show. Now it's my purpose, my passion, my mission to help you guys become your greatest version. Now you might be looking to find answers on love, connecting with your life's purpose, reuniting with a loved one on the other side, discovering your past lives, or just helping you make sense in finding your direction. Now, as a multi-dimensional channel, I can connect with higher aspects of yourself to help you in this present moment to become your best version and live your most empowered life. Now, you can book myself for a reading by going to tmspsychics.com/Kevin, or you can get a reading from one of my many gifted team of readers. The Moore Show Psychics, helping you transform your present moment to the most loving and happiest it can be. Now, I also offer a full money back guarantee, so what have you got to lose? Empower your life today.
The Moore Show connects personal development, metaphysics and consciousness tools for transformation, empowerment and awakening. Please support this independent show so Kevin can continue to bring you the most inspiring and alternative interviews and videos. Go to www.themooreshow.com/donate. You can also support The Moore Show through Patreon by going to www.patreon.com/themooreshow. Or you can make a quick and easy donation from PayPal using paypal@themooreshow.com.
Trying to think now, in my early 40s, I uncovered what had happened to me, which I was told, this is now when I was channeling, and my Pleiadian guides told me that I'd been taken onto a spaceship, and the first time they told me, I was just not ready for that information. I heard it, and I just thought, no, not accepting any of that, and I didn't do anything with it. And what happened afterwards, I went for a rebirthing session, and in the rebirthing session, I went into a spontaneous playback, a flashback of what actually happened that was so real. It actually couldn't be ignored. I actually saw myself as a young child on the lawn of my home in South Africa, and I heard this telepathic invitation to go onto a ship and went up there. It wasn't very long, the replay, but I see myself back on the lawn, crying with this horrible feeling of like it's not fair. And that experience caused a kind of displacement because it did something in my brain for a very particular reason, which I don't really elaborate in the book because I was guided not to go into the details of what was happening in my childhood. But something needed to be removed from my brain in order for me to fulfill the role that I'm now fulfilling. It was like abuse being removed from my brain. And I ended up feeling disconnected, entirely disconnected from my sisters, my parents, my surroundings, and it made my childhood very difficult. Having said that, you don't have to have had a spaceship experience in order to feel like that, because hundreds of people have written to me and said, I felt like an alien. This is what people say. As a child growing up in the society with my family, I always felt like an alien. I always felt like I didn't belong. I want to go home. You know, this is the thing, that they want to go back to their star family. But in my case, that connection became a very beneficial connection, because when I was consciously aware of my Pleiadian friends and family, I got attracted to the Pleiadian material and started reading Barbara Marciniak's books, Abraham Clow, the Pleiadian Agenda, and those, my greatest teachers came from books, really. Those Pleiadian guides in the books spoke straight to me. They spoke to me. I could feel their essence, even though I found a lot of what they were saying scary. And that initiated the stage where I started channeling in 1998, but it took me until 2007 to be able to channel the Pleiadians. I had what they called an activation when I went back to South Africa in 2007. And at that point, something clicked and I started channeling the star beings. I started channeling the Pleiadians and the Syrians on the same day, actually. I just didn't know who the Syrians were, so I didn't call them that.
So do you bring through, you probably answered this before, sorry if you have, but you're bringing through these higher dimensional beings, like the Pleiadians, but do they tell you, do most times when what's coming through you, does it tell you what it maybe is? Or is there any labels put on it sometimes?
Sometimes. So the Pleiadians, I was aware of them from the stuff I'd read. And I already had this connection with them. And I'd been asking to channel them for a long time. It was quite a process that led to my eventually channeling them. And so when they came through, they were like, here we are, we're the Pleiadians, we're working with you now. And they changed my life completely. They put me on a program. They're like, this is what you're doing now. You are now a transmitter. You're going to teach this. You're going to do that. You're going there. And because when I started following their guidance, it was always magical and always led me in the right direction. I just stepped into that role of following my guidance for many years. I don't do the same thing now. I'm in a different phase of my life. But for instance, the Syrians, I wasn't familiar with them. I didn't even know about Syrian star beings. And so when I started channeling them, and the reason that I started is because the Pleiadians and the Syrians made a contract in 1992 to work together with human beings. So in general, when you get a strong Pleiadian connection, the Syrians are there waiting to see if there's some way in which they can enrich whatever you're going to be used for as a channel. And they came through with completely different information. They work through sacred geometry, and they assist with healing, for instance, through their understanding and work with sacred geometry. And the Pleiadians are like in the love vibration. They're in the center of the universe, in the heart, fifth dimension. The Syrians are higher than that. So They came through, but they didn't call themselves Syrians. And I discovered about maybe it was a year later that they named themselves. So they don't always name themselves. They called themselves something at the time. I think it was Amatron, because it was the Amatron Collective. But I didn't know they were Syrians for quite some time.
Wow. Okay. I can resonate with that a little bit, because I've spoken about it before, really. But I have had my own abduction experience, I believe, right? But that only came clear to me when I had a regression session. I always said to myself in that regression session, yeah, I just wanted to make that up. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to have that experience. But then, as some members of my family have had past life regressions, and my mum as well, in the regression, he never knew nothing about me in the sense. And it was said that she had a past life as a Pleiadian. So I always wondered to myself, was that the connection? Who knows, right? But I feel you what you're saying. So thank you for sharing that. And again, there's so much more information that's in the book as well. So, it's well worth getting the book. One thing I just want to mention, because we just need to bring, because obviously we're an hour in here, and I know you wanted to do some channeling as well. Kind of a final question, really, is the times that we live in now. Let's round it all up into where we are now with the way the world is, and the way we are, where we're at, as humanity-wise. Now, it's said that we create our reality. It's said that we don't need religions, we don't need corporations in a sense. Well, to look up upon to, not to say we don't need them, but to give our power away. This is what I'm getting to, and the same with politics as well, because we just sort of give our power away. Is that what's going on nowadays in the world teaching us, or should that be a question I should save for the channeling? Do you think?
Well, you were just picking that up, because I'm listening to the question. I'm like, this is a perfect question for the guides. We'll let them answer.
I'll put the questions to one side then.
Okay. So I suggested to Kevin that I did some channeling as part of the interview, because you can talk about channeling until the cows come home, but you understand it much better when you actually experience it. And I love channeling. I particularly love the sensation of the people that are listening, like the people that will watch this interview or listen to this interview. The guides are tuning straight into them through the timeline, no matter when it is that they listen, and they're speaking directly, and that energy comes through, and it's delightful.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's just so beyond our understanding how that happens, but you're dead right. That's what happens.
Yes. So let's do it. So I go through a series of energy techniques to get myself grounded and centered and expand my energy. They are very similar to the techniques in the form of invocations in my meditation, which is called Essential Daily Practices. On my website, you find a lot of free guided meditations, and one of the first ones you come across is called New Pleiadian Essential Daily Practices, and they're more or less the same steps that I use. So I call light to myself. I open my heart in love and gratitude. And ground myself into the heart of Gaia. The grounding is a very important step. I concentrate and expand my energy body. And I ask for the highest guidance possible to flow through me now, with whatever this group who are present and watching need to know in this moment. We are with you both energetically And in physical form, a group of star beings working with human beings. We are working both from the higher dimensions and in the form of incarnated beings on your planet now. Most of you are aware of this, but you are not aware of your own part, of the extent to which you too are star-seeded. For genetically, all of you are star beings in the greatest sense of this word. You are genetically imprinted with higher dimensional being DNA. And when we speak of your multidimensional nature and your greater purpose, we are referring to this, to your original blueprint, which is in the process of being activated now. And so those of you who consider yourselves to be simple human beings in physical vessels, and you consider that you are only body, mind, emotion, and even those who recognize the spirit aspect of yourselves, you do not necessarily understand that there is an energetic imprint way greater than the conventional auric field created through your chakric wheels. And this energetic imprint we call the greater light body. And it is the knowledge, the experience, the working with this greater light field that allows higher codes to be activated within you now. They are present within your physical, biological entity already, but they are not active in the same way that many of you have the concept that your 12 or 13 strand DNA genetical model is in the process of being activated. So just removing myself from that channeling stream, I will explain that very often the sentences get very long and you can lose the point of what the star beings are saying. It also has to do with how focused I am when the information comes through. Sometimes I get several strands at the same time. But one of the main things that they were saying there was that at this particular time, which is of absolute crucial importance in the spiritual evolution of human beings, many of the star beings are incarnated in physical bodies now. And then as they were saying that, they also got sidetracked and said, you are also a star being, all of you, but it's not necessarily the same thing as a pure star being, just choosing to come down and be in body now. It's more like most of us are human beings who sometimes have had lifetimes on other star systems, but in any case, all of us are seeded from the stars. We have their DNA imprint within us. And they were also pointing out that there is an energetic part of us which is bigger than our normal aura. It's our greater light body. And that is in the process of being activated. It's part of us. It's as much a part of us as our physical body is, but it is in the process of being activated, and what happens as a result is that our physical body is able to withstand a higher frequency without exploding. It's almost like our physical body becomes less physical and more light. And at the point where we become fifth dimensional, we are able to separate. We are able to be physical or just energy as we choose. And it brings a lot of other amazing abilities to be in more than one place at one time, for instance, and to communicate telepathically.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let me ask a question then. Thank you so much to those beings that were coming through, are with us right now. That we're so grateful for that. All of us are. Let me ask a question then. On top of that, in the world that we are in right now, in this time frame that we're in right now, which for some people, it's very confusing. There's not a great deal of peace in some places right now. Is one way to help heal the world, one way to help bring about some peace in the world, is that to help people awaken? Is that to help people to realize that they are a soul having a human experience, and that by having that awakened experience, it just brings in more oneness to each other, that we are all connected? Or
are you asking about the tragedies in the world, if they are part of our awakening?
Yes, wars and tragedies. Well, we're not asking are they part of our awakening. Can we live in a world without war and tragedies? Or does the soul crave to have these experiences, and therefore that's why the souls come here, to have these experiences of opposites, because where it comes from, there are no such a thing.
We will answer this in two parts, dear one, because your question incorporates more than one understanding. It is true that within your reality, there are challenges chosen in order to move through and awaken into an expanded understanding of yourself and life. And this is, as has been discussed, the nature of lessons, earth lessons. But this, in truth, this way of learning, this way of evolving is old school, shall we say. It is not part of the new evolution and the new awakening. Rather, the catastrophes that you observe in the form of natural disasters and air flight accidents, in the form of wars and climate crises. These are a form of cleansing at this time, for there is a crux point. There is a point of no return upon your planet right now. There is a raising of frequency which will not allow a continuance of the way that has been on your planet. It is not possible, for instance, to continue with the level of pollution that has been occurring, with the level of disrespect of Gaia, the physical earth being with whom you are so intimately connected. And so there is a splitting of realities where there is a way of perceiving the world, a way of existing upon your planet from an awakened mind and heart in which everything flows in synchronicity. Everything is geared towards your awakening and growth. Everything can be healed, sometimes instantaneously, and the reality which does not look so rosy, the reality which looks to be in chaos and disaster, is simply a playing out in accelerated form of the old world. And so I know that this is difficult to understand for a lot of people that are watching what they're saying. They're saying in summary that there's a reality split. Now, this has been spoken of for many years, but it was spoken of already by Barbara Hand-Clow in the Pleiadian Agenda. The Pleiadians in that transmission talk about this reality split. But there were very few people, percentage-wise, that could actually identify with that reality split and actually perceive how it is possible to live your earth life in harmony now and to step outside of the chaos. But for instance, I, having admitted very freely earlier on in the interview that
Yes.
I am not enlightened or in a permanent state of awakening at all, nevertheless, I have reached a level where I actually experience this reality split, because I experience that percentage-wise for more of the time in my life that I'm awake and aware. A higher percentage of time I am able to live in this reality that they're talking about, which is a world of cooperation, a world of kindness, a world of connection, a world of working together and assisting each other and understanding in every moment that I'm creating my own reality. I am not able to live in that 100% of the time, but more than 50% of the time I am able to live in that. So I understand the reality shift better than it's real to me. And what they're saying is that as opposed to just learning lessons, let's say people get killed in an aeroplane crash or a tornado or from famine or climate, what looks like it's climate change. This is the playing out of the old world, and it only happens to the extent that people are completely in resistance to waking up or to cooperating with the earth. I'm not saying that it's a punishment at all. I'm just saying it's a different reality. And these guides have also told me that in the reality, the new reality, there are less people. And believe me, I am not saying or advocating that this is like a biblical cleanse of a great flood and lots of people have to die and this is a good thing. I'm not saying that at all. It's just the way it is that some of the population, rather than considering that they're being wiped out or that they're dying, it's almost like because it is recognized that they are not able to withstand the higher vibration and the higher dimensional reality that is being implanted on Earth now, they are being like transported to another planet, almost without noticing that they've changed realities, but just to continue living at that level, because it isn't possible to continue living into the future timeline on this planet with such disharmony or disrespect for Gaia, or completely in the box, in that little box where there is no other reality. There are different realities, and the reality split is already present, where perhaps you don't identify with what I'm saying about living a greater percentage of the time in the other reality, but perhaps when you meditate and in your meditations, there is this opening into your heart space where you feel peaceful, you feel expanded, you feel more than your body, you know that there is guidance and assistance available to you, for instance, and perhaps it happens in your meditations. And it's one of the reasons why most of us need to meditate. We need to take time outside of the normal world of interacting to experience an inner reality, to experience the greater reality that is birthed in our center, in our heart, in our energetic center.
Yes.
So
Well,
I don't know whether that did explain what they were saying in a more accessible way. I'm trying.
it
This is
did.
an example
It did.
of me channeling and then trying to
No,
explain what
you're doing a
they're saying.
beautiful job. Thank you so much for that. I don't know if there were. I think just one more question. I think one more, and that will be it, because I really appreciate what you're doing here. If there was one important message to this audience, yeah, just what that would be.
Okay.
And thank you for doing this.
The kind of question my guides love.
Good. Right.
It's really, yeah, it's great. As we tune in, we experience that most of your difficulties come from perceiving yourselves as individual beings who are looking for a kind of success in your individual lives. You perceive that your life is about achieving a particular state of being. Perhaps you feel that you will be complete with a partner, or when you have children, or when you become a better person, when you have a job that is fulfilling, where you feel yourself consciously to be of service, for instance. All of these kinds of goals are human, they are normal, and we will not say that you should not aspire towards things that you perceive will bring happiness. But if you take a step away from this, outside of this, and perceive that you are already doing what you came to do, although it may not look that way from the outside or from the judgment of your rational mind, your ego or personality aspect. If you simply close your eyes right now, each one of you, and tune into your heart aspect, placing one or both hands on your heart, on your chest, and you smile and tune into yourself on an energetic level, and allow a feeling of expansion or light or energy to be generated from this heart space. You immediately feel a sense of expansion and upliftment. And this comes from moving from your head space into your heart space and into a sense of energetic experience of yourself. It tends to quieten down the monkey mind or continual self-questioning and arguing within your mind aspect, as if you are truly schizophrenic, as if there is always this being who judges you and argues with you, with your goals, judges what you have achieved and have yet to achieve in your life. And you settle into this internal heart space and sense of expansion and happiness, and realize that you can choose to be happy in this moment, and that you can choose to be happy with every single aspect of yourself, your physical body, your emotional personality, the tendency which you have, for instance, to be shy or not shy, introvert or extrovert, to be outspoken or to be quiet, your tendency to do much exercise or to prefer less energetic pursuits. You tune into every aspect of yourself, physical and emotional, and just decide that it is perfect in this moment. And understand that the nature of the universe is that as you give, so you receive. And so you let go for some moments now, in a form of meditation or in a contemplation. You choose simply to focus on how you might serve others on an everyday level, without thinking about it as a career move. They're making a joke here. You choose simply to smile more often. For instance, you choose to be more physically affectionate, knowing how soothing it is for human beings to receive a pat on the back or a gentle caress, a little squeeze of encouragement. You choose to perceive that you have enough for this moment, recognizing in a state of gratitude all that you have already, that you are clothed and warm, that you are fed and watered, that you have sunshine, that you have nature, that you have friends, and that the world is a friendly place. And the more you perceive it this way, the more the experience reinforces that. And so you choose just in these simple ways to bring yourself back into a state of self-love and acceptance, to accept exactly where you are at this time, right here, right now, to bring a greater simplicity into your understanding of yourself and your purpose on the earth. And then you will notice that the synchronicities come towards you, that you are given very clear signs about what feels good and what does not. And you allow yourself to go in the flow without this deep pushing of yourself to be better, to be stronger, to be more successful, to achieve these things, and simply work as if your only mission is to be in cooperation with others, to make others smile, to be kind, loving, and helpful to yourself and to all other sentient beings, for this truly is the dawning of the new reality. This is how, in simple terms, to step into the new reality, the new age, the golden age, which births on your planet now. You are not being neglectful of your duties if you separate yourself from the world of disaster, which is put forward through your media channels. Simply separate yourself from that which does not uplift you. There are those who are chosen to go into the field and assist with the disasters that are happening. And if you are not one of these, simply separate that reality from yours and stay with the simplicity of self-kindness and acceptance and love and kindness for each other, and your purpose is already served, and so it is. Namaste.
Wow.
That's the kind of thing my guides love to talk about.
God.
It's not like rocket science, is it?
That was so powerful and so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. That was amazing.
And as always, I hear it, and my guides are just teaching me. It's just 100% relevant to me. It's not like I've mastered all those things. I am just learning from those guides, and they're super helpful.
But that was just so relevant to me as well.
It's the way it is. It's the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone that's going to hear that, it'd be relevant to them. Beautiful, timeless stuff. Absolutely. Okay. Well, look, we're now 1 hour and 30 minutes into the interview. I can't believe we've gone that long. There's a reason for that, and I'd just like to say, Solara An-Ra, just thank you so much for joining us today, and I know that our paths are going to cross again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate being on the show, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing as well. I know it's not easy. Thank you for your service work.
Well, we've come to an end on today's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You will also find out more on our past and upcoming guests by going to themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe. Hi guys, my name's Kevin Moore and I'm the host of The More Show. Now it's my purpose, my passion, my mission to help you guys become your greatest version. Now you might be looking to find answers on love, connecting with your life's purpose, reuniting with a loved one on the other side, discovering your past lives, or just helping you make sense in finding your direction. Now, as a multi-dimensional channel, I can connect with higher aspects of yourself to help you in this present moment to become your best version and live your most empowered life. Now, you can book myself for a reading by going to tmspsychics.com/Kevin, or you can get a reading from one of my many gifted team of readers. The More Show Psychics, helping you transform your present moment to the most loving and happiest it can be. Now, I also offer a full money back guarantee, so what have you got to lose? Empower your life today.
What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London, as we're open every day.